What's up, Do It Anyway podcast? My name is Daya Williams. I am your host, and welcome back to another episode. Today we have my very good friend, Asia Moore. Asia, why don't you tell the pod a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So, once again, my name is Asia. I am originally from Dallas, Texas, live here, have been here my entire life. I'm also an eighth grade English teacher. I've been teaching for 3 years now, and I absolutely love it. I'm also a community leader, so that means that I host workshops in the DFW, helping the youth grow in their confidence and their self esteem.
Wow, how impressive. Okay, so on the Do It Anyway podcast, we talk a lot about challenges and adversities and how we overcome them. So, what is a challenge or adversity that you have overcome?
So, I guess a challenge or adversity that I've overcome has to be growing up with a single parent.
Mhm.
Obviously being in a double parent home sometimes could be a little bit more easier, but I think, being the oldest of three girls and, watching my mom having to raise us on her own was probably a challenge for me. And so, pushing past the society standards and pushing past, what society might say that a girl from a single parent home might turn out to be was definitely a challenge that I had to push through.
Yeah, I totally get it. For anyone that is watching, I live with my grandmother. I have ever since I was about 4 weeks old, 3 weeks old, something around that area. So it's really cool that we can relate in that
Yeah,
way.
for sure.
People have a lot of stereotypes about what families should be.
Hmm.
And so it's really important that we represent
Yeah,
those
for
other
sure.
families out there. That challenge and that adversity that you just mentioned, what has that taught you?
So it's taught me resilience for one, because I believe that our challenges in life and the things that we face, it helps us to, for one, grow in endurance. It helps us to grow in patience, but it definitely helps us to grow as people. It strengthened my character all throughout the years. And I definitely believe that I wouldn't be the woman that I am today had I not encountered those things. So I wouldn't change anything that I've gone through.
Yeah, good. And this challenge of this adversity obviously affects your life. It affects how you live, it affects how you act, things like that. So I want to talk a little bit about what you do now
Hmm.
and what that adversity has taught you into what you're doing now. What lifestyle changes have you made?
Hmm.
Maybe something you've changed within your life, maybe something big's going on. So tell us
Hmm.
all about that.
Yeah. So a part of me growing up, I'll say, social media played a really huge factor in the way that I seen myself, in the way that I seen or even perceived my identity. And so, because of that, I now strive to help younger people to, for one, allow their story to work for their good, but also to be the standard, right? Don't look to society to be the standard, but instead you set your own standard. You are the one who is able to. Sorry, I feel like I'm messing up right now.
You're good.
Okay. Sorry. You're the one that's able to set the tone of your own life and the trajectory of your life. And it's my mission to push other people to see the same while also growing as a leader. Because, like I said, I grow in character too. And I believe that character has helped position me to be the community leader that I am today.
Hey, you were messing up at all. That was a
Oh,
really good answer.
yes.
And I would say, we talk a lot about families,
Mhm.
especially on not necessarily on the podcast, but I have before. And I've given some advice for kids going through that adversity or just people in general. What advice would you have for those people?
I would say that the lemons that life gives you, that you have the choice and the opportunity to turn them into lemonade.
Mm,
Something that I often tell my students is the only thing standing in between where you are right now and where you want to be is what you choose to do in between. I believe we have a lot more control over our life and what happens in our life than what we think. And so instead of allowing yourself to be down and be discouraged, be empowered and know that you are being equipped for something great.
hey, I will take it. You mentioned your students. I
Mhm.
wanted to talk a little bit about you being a teacher. Tell us about your class, what you do. Tell us all about that.
As I stated before, I'm an eighth grade English teacher. I've been teaching for the past 3 years now For 2 years, I taught seventh grade. And so now this year, I'm teaching eighth grade. And let me just give you a little glimpse of what my classroom looks like.
Oh dear.
I believe I'm a person with a lot of order and structure, but I also don't feel like I have the typical classroom. My classroom is a little bit of me preparing my students for life, me giving them advice. They ask a lot of questions. They also ask a lot of questions about pageantry too, which I was
Hey.
really surprised about. I was very surprised about. But I'm so happy that they had the opportunity to have a glimpse into my life, but most importantly that I'm giving them real conversation. Not too real, because at the end of the day we have
Not
boundaries.
too real.
We have boundaries. But I will say that my classroom is a little bit of fun, a little bit of real life, while also academic readiness too. And I truly do love what I do. I love my students, and yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
What's your favorite part about being a teacher?
Mm. My favorite part about being a teacher, I transparently have to say, it's seeing the end result of my
Yeah.
students. At the end of the year, seeing where my students started off versus where they're ending, whether that's in test scores, in personal development, in their leadership skills, even in their communication skills. My students just finished doing a persuasive speech, and I couldn't be more proud of them, because initially they were nervous, right, starting off. But to see their confidence grow over time is really, really great. So, seeing the impact that I'm actually making on my students is one of the reasons why I keep going and doing what I do.
Yeah. There was thunder outside. If you heard that, I forgot to mention that there is a thunderstorm
Yes.
outside currently. So just ignore it. Pay attention to the two pretty women in front of you. I wanted to talk about being a teacher in a digital world. I'm a student, so
Mhm.
I understand how hard it can be for teachers to teach, especially when, social media is a thing, but also AI is a thing. But we'll
Yes,
get into
yes.
AI in a second.
Mhm.
I want to just know your insight on like cell phones in the classroom, social media being used in school, things like that.
There was a recent law that was passed this year about students not being able to have their cell phones.
Yeah, Australia and Denmark.
Yes. I believe that it was a really great idea for them to implement that, because not having cell phones on the students, right, and not giving them the ability to actually use it in the class. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
Having students not sorry. Okay, let me start over. Oh gosh, that was funny. Okay. I'm gonna start over from the top, okay?
Okay.
Okay. There was a recent law that was passed earlier the school year, I'll say.
And I said Australia and Denmark. I thought we were talking about the social media law that was
Oh,
just passed. No, you
no,
were right.
no.
You were right. There was a law that was just passed.
Mhm.
Not for my school though, because I go to a private school.
Ah, lucky you. But in the state of Texas, though, like for other schools, students are not allowed to use their cell phones in the classroom. I believe that that was probably the best thing that has been implemented so far within the education system. We won't get too deep into that, but because I feel like it takes away the distractions.
Yeah.
The issues that we were having in schools where students are using their cell phones to, get into drama, and then that's how, altercations are happening in the middle of the school day. But since cutting those things out, I believe it allows students to actually be connected with one another, even though Chromebooks are a real thing, right? Because they still have their Chromebooks and they
Hey.
still find ways to connect. But yeah, I think that, taking away the distractions has been a big help academically.
Yeah. I honestly, this is an unpopular opinion for a teenager. I'd have to agree. I think that cell phones don't really have a huge place in the classroom. Now, I do think having the sacks is a little excessive because I'm the teenager that would forget
Mm-hmm.
to unlock
Do you
it.
have a yonder bag?
No, we don't, but I've
Oh,
seen schools that do, and I
yeah.
have friends that go to schools and they
Mm-hmm.
have yonder bags.
Yeah.
So if I was that student, I'd never get my phone back because I'd always forget.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about AI because
Yes.
it is a digital world. We touched on socials. Let's touch on, Beast
Yeah.
in the Cave. I
Yeah.
mean, AI has really grown within the past couple years, and it's honestly, in my opinion, unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to use it.
Yeah.
So, what is your opinion on AI in the classroom?
I like to say AI has actually been a blessing, but it's also been a curse.
Yeah.
I think that anything that's created can have its benefits and it can have, it has its pros and then it has its cons. AI as a teacher, from a teacher standpoint, it's helped a lot with lesson planning and
Yeah.
with coming up with different activities because with the different standards changing as to what to teach kids, years ago they didn't have the SCR, that's a short constructor response. And I know a lot of teachers, we didn't exactly know how to teach that to the students. We weren't sure how to prepare them for that with the STAR test. But having AI is giving us the ability to have ideas. Okay, if students are understanding this concept, what should we be teaching them? So I believe that it's helped us to fill in the gaps. On the other side of that, I do believe that AI has caused us to, for one, be lazy, but also lose our creativity, just as a whole, not even just teachers. So for students, I don't tell my students that they can't use AI, but what I'm telling them is don't use it to where it's going to take away your creativity and your own thought process
Yeah.
because it's so let's be real, we can tell whenever AI has written something, right?
Hey, you
We
can
can
totally
tell the
tell.
wording, the vocabulary that they use, and so it just doesn't sound natural, it doesn't sound human. And so my goal as a teacher is for one to show them responsibility. And I, even my own self, I have to take a step away from using my chat GPT at times
Yeah.
whenever I feel myself getting too dependent on it, because at the end of the day, I have a brain and I plan on using it to its full capacity.
Hey, I have an interesting perspective on it. My
Yeah.
school not only encourages the use of AI,
Mm.
but for some assignments in my English class, it's required.
Oh, wow.
So for like drafting things, for
Mm-hmm.
creating essay outlines, it's sometimes required that we use ChatGPT and
Oh,
learn how to use
wow.
it as a search engine.
Okay.
Do I necessarily agree with that? Not quite sure. Makes it easy. But I do agree with the getting lazy and taking away the creativity of things.
Yeah.
I think that AI will never be able to truly replicate human creativity,
Mm-hmm.
especially in artists like graphic design, things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's a very interesting thing and it's going to just grow and grow and grow, and we'll have to see what society does with it.
I think it also has taken away the seriousness of being literate too,
Yes.
because there are specific outlines for writing, right? We're
Hmm.
taught the writing process, we're taught how to revise and edit. And what I think the part that we have to be really careful in is that as much as I love Grammarly, and I do
Oh,
believe
yeah.
that, yes, and I do believe that ChatGPT will help us with, hey, like you misspelled this word, or you need to put a comma right here. I do believe that we have to be careful to not understand the rules
Yeah.
of like our verb usage and spelling and capitalization, or just anything that comes with the revising and editing process.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's still important to know those things and not allow technology to take over in that
Yeah.
way.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the STAR and
Hmm.
standardized testing. Kind of
Yeah.
springing this on you.
Oh man.
But I mean, I've never really had to sit down and take the STAR.
Hmm.
I mean, I have, but it's never been a high pressure situation.
Hmm.
I was homeschooled for most of my life,
Hmm.
and then I went back to public school in sixth grade. And I didn't have to, I took the practice stars, but I didn't have to take the actual star because
Oh, lucky
COVID hit.
you, lucky
And
you.
then I was homeschooled for the rest of the time. And then
Mhm.
I jumped back into private school my junior year. So I've never really had like sit down hardcore standardized
Yeah.
testing until the Iowa test this
Hmm.
year, which was crazy for me. I was like, whew.
Yeah.
But I've never been a good test taker, so I don't
Hmm.
really agree with people saying that it's, a measure of how smart you are or a
Hmm.
measure of how good a teacher is.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get your thoughts as a teacher on that.
I couldn't agree with you more on the standardized test situation. I don't believe that standardized test is a great measure to see whether kids are learning a lot or not, or
Yeah.
to see whether they are ready for the next grade level. In fact, I believe that throughout the school year, we're learning way more than what the STAR test is actually requiring and
Yes.
asking, which means that there's much more to the learning process. There's much more to what students are actually gaining throughout the school year than what the state of Texas is looking for,
Yeah.
or any other state, right? So the thing with the STAR test that I have seen is the questions that are on there. For one, I feel like I'm just telling everything, but I mean,
Hey,
STAR test, it's available online for you guys. So if you guys see it, like you can just look it up and you'll see what I'm talking about. The STAR test is is structured in a way to actually trick students, right?
wow.
So there's always like I feel like I'm just telling everything right now.
Hey, air it out. Some kids need help.
I feel like, yeah, like there's always two questions on there that's absolutely wrong, and then two questions that are very similar to one another. So it tricks the students. And I don't believe that a test that is designed to trick the students is actually for their good or for their benefit.
Agreed.
And so instead, which I believe that this is what the state of Texas is going to implement in the next few years, they're going to be they're going to be having tests like the Iowa or also like the MAP test to test the students 3 times a year. So beginning, middle, and end.
Okay.
And that's how they're going to measure their growth. I believe that that is way more
Yeah.
beneficial to see if students are learning or not. And it's not just like, yes, they're testing them over standard TEKS and stuff like that, but it's much more
Yeah.
than that. So I said all that to say I agree with you.
Well, I'm glad they're changing it, and I'm glad
Yes.
I won't be around to take them. I'm going to
Yes.
college this fall, so goodbye.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, nice talk about
And as you can
schools.
see, I'm very passionate about this stuff.
Hey,
So
I am too, student and teacher, let's talk it out.
yeah.
I wanted to switch gears a little bit.
Hmm.
I see the tattoo behind your
Oh,
ear. It's a
yes.
cross.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit about your faith.
Yeah.
Why did you start following God? When
Mhm.
did you start following God? Tell us that story.
So honestly, since I was younger, I can remember like being taken to church.
Yeah.
My mom, she was very committed to taking me and my sisters to whether it was Bible studies or even talking to us about God and
Yeah.
talking to us about the Lord. That's really what I refer to God as the Lord. So you'll probably hear me say that a lot.
Hey.
But yeah, but I for me, it wasn't until I went to college for one that I started taking my faith a little bit more seriously. And then in 2021, I took my faith way more seriously than what I could have ever expected. And I say that, and I guess I'll share a little bit of the story. You get to a point in your life where you start to think about your past, think about how you were brought up, think
Yeah.
about where your mind is, think about where your heart is. And for me,
No, I don't think so.
I hope not. Okay. Okay, it's on. She's green. Sorry. So you get to a point in your life where you start to think about all the things that you've gone through. You start to look at where you are mentally, emotionally, etc. And I got to a point to where I realized that I needed something a lot greater than me to help keep me grounded
Yeah.
and to actually to help me with a new perspective. So I think following God and like reading my Bible and just, you know, my faith has really anchored me, and it's really helped set the foundation of the woman that I am today. And I do believe that it's helped to establish a lot of the values. Our values are, what helps to drive our decisions. And so far I feel like I've made some really great decisions
Hey.
um, from that. So I guess that's been the journey for me, and my relationship with the Lord is very serious to me. It's very close to my heart, and my biggest goal in life is just to it's just spread the love of Christ. That's really it.
Yeah.
I want people to feel love whenever they encounter me. I want people to know that Jesus loves them and that God loves them, no matter where they are in life, no matter who they are, no matter where
Yeah.
they come from, because I feel like that's what it's all about. That's what the gospel is. The gospel is love.
Hey, there you
Mm,
go.
yeah.
Switching gears a little bit.
Hmm.
I saw a video on your page.
Yeah.
It was Black History Month, and I saw you
Yes.
talking about a lot of Black pageant queens and past Miss
Yes.
Americas. So you have an interesting perspective on that because you
Mhm.
are a Black woman in
Yeah.
pageantry. I want you to give us an inside look into that. How is it different? What challenges may you encounter? Things like that.
I like to look at it from the standpoint of how society has been as a whole towards African American people in general. But I also believe that there has been a big disadvantage for women in general, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever I talk about African American women, I'm speaking in the sense of the history that African Americans have gone through, but while also being a woman in today's society. I do believe that we have to work a lot harder because for one, we're fighting against stereotypes. We're fighting against stigmas that have been placed on us and labels that have been placed on us. I know we've heard of the angry black woman before, or the black woman with a lot of sass, or, just how the media typically portrays us. And so I believe that in the aspect of pageantry, we may have to prove ourselves just a little bit more. If we've seen in history, African American women, they weren't even able to compete in pageantry, in any I can only speak from the Miss America system because that's
Yeah.
what I've pretty much done my research on. But it wasn't until Miss Iowa, the first African American Miss Iowa,
Yeah.
went forth and won the title and was able to compete at Miss America. I believe that was in 1941, I believe. And so, and then even from there, and just seeing, then we got our first Miss African American Miss American. We've seen what happened with her from being chosen. It's just a lot that people try to do to take us down, I
Yeah.
believe. But I like to say I'm not a victim, and I don't walk around with a victim's mentality. And with that, I think my biggest thing is I am wanting to just empower people. That's it. I want to empower African American women, but I also just want to empower women in general. I
Yeah.
think the whole point of my post is, for one, of course, to shed light, but also to serve as like an empowerment to say, like, no matter the adversity, no matter the roadblocks that we get thrown our way, that we literally have the power to overcome, and we have, and we
Ooh,
still
y'all hear
are.
that?
We still are.
Ooh.
You're so funny.
Ooh, that was good.
You're funny, girl.
No, I watched the video and I was like, wow. It was really inspiring. It really stood out to me.
Mhm.
And thank you for making that video.
Yeah,
That
for
was
sure,
nice.
for sure.
Okay. I would like to talk to you about pageantry. Of
Yes,
course, we just
yes.
kind of talked about it, but I wanted to talk to you about giving advice
Mhm.
for someone who is newer in pageantry, maybe hesitating to compete in a pageant. What would your advice be to her?
So in 2018 is actually whenever I first did my first pageant. I was an 18-year-old miss, not a teen, but I competed as a miss at 18 years old. I was
Mm-mm.
the first Miss DeSoto, so whoop whoop, shout out to that. And going into the Miss Texas pageant, I was like, what is this? I I was tired. I lost weight. Like we all know, during
Dang.
during pageant week, you lose the most weight. Like no matter where you are, you're gonna lose some weight. Okay,
That week is
because
crazy.
you're moving around a lot, like you're dancing, and then you're also eating really healthy too, right?
Yeah.
But whenever Miss Texas week ended, I said, I'm never doing this again. And then years later, here I am.
Welcome back.
Right, I'm back here again. And so it wasn't until maybe like that next year, 2019, and once I got a chance to let everything marinate and I reflected on the things that I actually learned during
Yeah.
that time, I was like, oh, this is actually a really great thing. This is actually something I want to do again. And then I look, for me, I'm like, I already love makeup. I already love getting dressed
Hey.
up. I said, this is just, the perfect thing for me. But I will say, since being back, my confidence has, for one, increased. My communication skills has increased as well. I've always felt like I've been a great speaker. I was a communications major in college. So communication is always something that has come really natural for me. But my confidence has grown. Who I am as a woman has grown. And y'all, if you are someone who has an organization, if you're a business owner, this pageantry is the perfect place for you to be, because you are pushed so much to develop your organization. It's called your community service initiative. You're pushed so much to develop it. You're bringing what you have to the table, and then your marketing skills, right? Because you
Hey.
have to sell yourself. So what I would say to the person who is contemplating on doing anything regarding pageantry, I would say to take a chance on yourself. Because last year, coming back after 7 years, that was me taking a chance on myself. I invested in myself. So that means that I got an interview coach because I knew that that's where I sucked at. I invested in myself. I did consultations with other pageant coaches.
Yeah.
I would say do it, because I promise you, you're going to be so grateful. And then that scholarship money, you're going to be
Girl,
grateful for
that's
it.
good.
So,
It's good, isn't it?
yes.
Hey, yeah, I have
Hmm.
to agree with everything you said.
Hmm.
Do it anyway.
Yeah, do it anyway.
Okay. Now it's time for the really serious
Yeah,
questions. Are you ready?
yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, this one's extremely serious.
Yeah.
This pod knows.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the podcast
Okay.
come serious questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I have 2 for you today.
Okay.
If you were a flavor,
Mm-hmm.
what would you be?
Oh man,
It's hard,
it
isn't it?
is. Oh my
And these are
gosh.
the questions that matter.
This may sound super cliche,
Okay.
but it would have to be strawberry.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying that because it's the closest fruit to pink,
But
right?
tell me why.
But well, maybe not the closest fruit, right? Because we have dragon fruit, anyways.
Who cares about dragon
Right?
fruit?
Who cares?
Anyway?
Like who eats that anyway? But I would say strawberry because strawberry has like that sweetness to it.
Yeah.
It's really sweet and it's very nourishing for you as well. But I also feel like it can have a little tang too.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just never know what you're going to get from me.
Yeah.
You never know. Are you going to get the tang side of Asia? Or are you going to get the sweet side of Asia? And whenever I say tang, I just mean like, diva, sassy, I'm about business kind of thing, And then the sweet is, oh, all cakes and lollipop, right? I feel like when I get into business mode, I might be a little tangy.
Hey, there you go.
But yeah, I'll have to say strawberry. And then I also think about the scent too. It's really
Okay.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say green apple. I'd say green
It's
apple.
very
Because
specific.
it's a very fun flavor, and I like to
Yeah.
think I'm a fun person.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. If you disagree with me, put that in the comments. We'll dish it out later.
Put it there.
Your second one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know if you believe in a past life or not. That's
Okay.
besides the point.
Yeah.
In your past life,
Mm-hmm.
what would your job be? What did you do in that past life?
Honestly, I was probably a radio spokesperson.
That's my answer.
Are you serious? No
Twins!
way. No way.
What?
No way. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wait, we're the same person.
We are the same person. Maybe
Twins.
that's why we're connected, right? But yeah, I would probably have to say that because I like communicating. I love all things
Yes.
media. And I'm like, I had to have gotten that passion somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it was from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I feel like that's partially why I started this pod. I was like, you know what? I want to host my own podcast, my own radio show.
Yeah.
Not just to talk about the important things, which are important because they're important things,
Mm-hmm.
but just to goof out.
Yeah.
I feel like I was, Brooke and Jubal in the morning?
I actually don't. I have no idea who that is.
Okay, if anyone knows who that is,
Mhm.
please make me feel not alone. Brooke and Jubal in the morning, they do like a bunch of different like segments. They're not even
Mhm.
like from past life. They're like
Mhm.
current, but they do second date updates.
Oh wow.
So like people will go on a date and
Mhm.
one person won't call the other back, and so they'll email the radio show
Oh my
and be like,
gosh.
"Yo, this person isn't calling me back." Call
No
them.
way.
And they'll call them. It's all
That's
over
so
TikTok.
funny.
I like follow all those segments. Now you're gonna get them because your phone's listening.
Please.
To me. But
Yeah.
trust me, it's good. Brooke and Jubal in the morning, guys.
Wow.
Brooke and Jubal, if you're listening
When I
to this,
see the
we love
reel,
you.
I'll send it to you.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's so funny.
Okay. Well, that concludes another episode of the Do It Anyway podcast. It has been great fun talking to you, Asia.
This has been really, really fun. Very exciting.
Good.
Yeah.
You hear that? It's fun. Come
It
be on the
is.
pod. You get snacks and drinks.
Yeah.
Everything in between.
All of it. Great
Yeah.
hospitality.
Oh, stop it.
Yes.
Okay, well, that concludes it. So we will see you guys on the next one. If you haven't watched the first episode with Chloe Robbins, Miss Spirit of Texas Teen, make sure you watch that one because that one was also really, really fun. We talked about Miss America partnerships, a lot about grief and learning from that, things like that. But we also talked about animals. So you're going to have to go see what I mean. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Easy peasy.
That was a lot of fun. That's cool.